morning, everybody. So I'm downtown by the water. I like to come down here and watch the sunrise. It's a beautiful morning. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. That's my dogs y'all hear in the back. Speaking of dogs, that's what this video is about. So yesterday I had the worst day, but it ended up turning out all right. I was out dropping a package off at Ann Arbor, Michigan, and somewhere in between two stops, one of my dogs, which is the one that I've had the longest, he jumped out of my car. And I didn't know he did that because when I got out the car, I left the door open. And normally him and my other dog, they'll just stand there and watch me until I get back in the car. They don't normally jump out the car. But for whatever reason, my Maltipoo, he jumped out the car. And the crazy thing about it is I didn't even know he did that. I had already dropped the package, got in the car, pulled off, and went on about my business. It wasn't until I got 4 to 5 blocks down the road that I noticed he wasn't jumping on me and I didn't hear him in the car. So I called his name, he didn't jump. I looked around, I didn't see him. All I saw was my Irish Terrier. So immediately I pulled over at the nearest intersection. I got out the car in disbelief and I checked the back seat because sometimes they like to hide under the seat and get on the floor or jump in the trunk and shit like that. So I noticed he wasn't in the back seat, still in denial. I opened my trunk because like I said, they like to jump over the back seat and get in the trunk. When I seen that my dog was not in that car, my heart dropped about 1,000 feet because one, I literally been in and out the car and I could not recall which one of them stops that I last saw him at, so I didn't even know where to begin to look. So I turned around and went back to the location I just came from, parked my car in the middle of the street, and I got out and I started screaming his name and walking around the subdivision. It's some subdivision off Meadowbrook in Ann Arbor. It's a bunch of like condos over there. So I got out, I started walking around screaming his name. It wasn't nobody outside, so the neighborhood was super quiet. So I was loud as hell when I was screaming his name. And the more I screamed his name and I walked and I didn't see him and he didn't run up to me, I started to panic, I started to cry, and I started to scream his name louder and louder. People had Ring cameras on their doors. I didn't care how I looked. I had water all over my face from crying. My whole face was wet from crying. I had snot coming out my nose. I was coughing because I was choking on my own saliva, crying so hard nonstop. And people started coming outside asking me what's wrong. A couple of people heard me calling his name, so they knew I was looking for my dog. They asked me what he looked like. It was folks coming out to walk their dogs. It was folks coming out to jog. Everybody started coming out of their house asking me what my dog looked like, and they started walking around the neighborhood. Some got in their car and started driving around the neighborhood. So the more everybody kept saying they don't see him, the more I started to panic, and I told everybody, like, you know, I have anxiety, I have depression, my dog is my emotional support, I need to find him. And people started checking their Ring cameras. You could see my car coming in the neighborhood on a few cameras and whatnot, but my dog was not, I wasn't the only person Ring camera that could have caught me when I pulled up and my dog getting out the car would have been the person I was dropping at. But that person was not home. I even ringed their Ring camera. I was crying. I know they saw me crying on their Ring camera. They wasn't home. So I couldn't have them look and see if they seen my dog jump out the car and which way he went. So it started to get dark. At this point, it's 2.5 hours going by and I still haven't found my dog. I started to think, oh my God, he usually eat around this time. Is he hungry? Is he, did somebody take him? Is he hiding somewhere and I'm overlooking? And I started to panic. And then I don't live in Ann Arbor. So I'm like, okay, I can't just leave this area not knowing where my dog is. I've had this dog way too long. It's just, I can't do it. I'm not going to be able to sleep. I'm not going to be able to do my schoolwork. I'm not going to be able to work. I'm not going to be able to concentrate. I'm not going to be able to go to training. I'm not going to be able to do anything until I find my dog. So, some told me, I exchanged numbers with a few of the people in the area, and some told me to go back to the address before that and see if he's possibly there since I'm not seeing him here. So, I get in the car. Oh, I forgot to mention, I called the police. I told them what happened. They told me somebody called about a dog and they transferred me to dispatch, but the dog that somebody called about was a beagle, wasn't my dog. So I gave them my number, and they said they'll call me if somebody called in, and they told me to call the Humane Society, which I did. Of course, they didn't answer. So I left a message, not even realizing what type of message I was leaving. I was crying. I told them that, hey, I'm looking for my dog. I need somebody help. I'm not sure what you can do to help me, but I need him. He's my emotional support. I have anxiety. I have depression. I've been crying, looking for him for 2.5 hours. I'm exhausted. Please help me. That's what I said. Something to that effect. Anywho, so I left that subdivision, and I decided that I was going to backtrack to the last 3-4 addresses before it get dark and try to find my dog. So I started with the one before there, and when I pulled up, I got my other dog out the car to see if he can help me locate him, or maybe he can trace, my other dog can smell our scent. I took him out the car. I started walking around that subdivision, which was way bigger than the one I just left. But I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'll walk around here all day long screaming my dog's name. And that's what I did. I started walking, screaming his name. I was crying still. One guy came out and asked me if I was okay. I told him I'm trying to find my dog. He said he just got home. He haven't seen a dog. And then a lady came outside who heard us talking, and she said, hey, you looking for a dog? I'm like, yeah. She was like, well, it was a little white dog that was just out here. Did you just drop off a package like about an hour ago? I said, yeah. She was like, yeah, your dog got out of the car, and he was, somebody picked him up. They was going to take him to the Humane Society. So at that point, I started to feel a little better, but I started to cry even more because I'm like, oh my God, this can't, because I was praying to God on the way there. I asked God, I said, please lead me to my dog. I asked God, I'm like, please lead me to my dog. So I'm thinking at this point, this is it. And the girl told me to calm down. They found him. I can calm down and quit crying. So we started walking to the other person, one of her neighbor's house. And she told me when I got out the car, the neighbor that I was dropping to actually called her and told her that she think that my dog got out jumped out, and I didn't know. And they wasn't for sure if it was my dog or not, because he just so happened to be there when I pulled off, but they didn't know. And they told me that they tried to give him treats. They tried to give him food. He wouldn't take anything. He was barking at everybody. He wouldn't move from under the lady car that I was dropping at, because that's where I was last parked when he got out of my car. So another lady came that stayed on the other side, and she came out with her son in a cage, and she was able to get him to come to her, and she put him in a cage and took him in the house. And they posted on Facebook and Neighborly and Ring asking if anybody lost a dog. So she was going to take him to the Humane Society, but she decided to keep him for a few days to see if anybody come back for him. And in the meantime, she was going to bathe him and feed him and just keep him at her house. But just so happened, I came back and I got my dog, and she brought him outside. I remember when I first seen him after looking for him for 2.5 hours. I first seen him. I couldn't even get the cage open. When they set the cage on the ground and they brought him outside to me, my bad, y'all. Both of my dogs in here playing right now. But when she brought him outside, she told me that he got out of the car and he was barking at everybody, and she got him in the house. And as she was telling me what was going on, I'm trying to open the cage, but because I'm so drained and I'm so happy to see my dog, and I'm so relieved, because I really believed that I wasn't going to be able to see my dog again. And I never slept away from him the whole 3 years that I had him, so I don't know how the night was going to go without him being there, and I was super worried about that. So the son opened the cage up for me because I couldn't get it open because I was just too distraught, and I just grabbed him and I held him, and I cried some more. And my other dog kept trying to jump on me to get to him because he's not used to him not being around either. And my doggy Pootie, my Monty Poo that was missing, he was trying to jump out my lap to get to my other dog. They was both kind of happy to see each other. So that ended up being a happy ending. So, and it's crazy because if that would have happened in Detroit or anywhere else, it would have been a different outcome. So it just so happened Ann Arbor, Michigan is a dog-friendly town. It's a lot of people out there are good people, and I thank them folks so much, because I had them folks. And then it was crazy because when I found them, the Humane Society called me back after I found them and said that they was actually, the Humane Society went over to that neighborhood. They was all out there looking for my dog. they wasn't gonna stop looking for my dog. They was out there looking for him. The Humane Society even came out to help me look for my dog. And by the time she called me, I had already found him. And then they was happy that I found him. She told everybody in the neighborhood she found the dog, y'all. I heard her in the background, and everybody was happy. She was like, girl, you got everybody out here looking for your dog. And that meant so much to me, like, that people cared that much to go that far to help me find him. Because I told one of the residents over there, I said, it's important. It might be nothing to a lot of folks, but it's important to me because I remember when I didn't have a dog, I prayed to God for a dog. And my Maltipoo came into my life at the worst time of my life. I had just lost a lot of my family to death. I was extremely depressed. I suffer from depression anyway, but I was having a whole lot of downs with my depression. And not to mention, I had just got out of a relationship with a narcissistic man who was abusive. And when I got my doggy when he was like 6 weeks, and he came into my life. He was the best thing that happened to me. He's a loving dog. You know, I know him from head to toe. When he hungry, when he sad, when he mad at me, when he being disobedient and he do something he ain't got no business doing, and I don't know he did it yet. He gives me certain looks to let me know he done did something. I just couldn't imagine like not having him. You know, it's just, and then it just gave me a wake up call. And then what's crazy is I had been yelling at him all day because he was getting on my nerves and being annoying. And just like that, I almost lost him. So it's crazy, but I want to thank the people in Ann Arbor for helping me find my dog because I didn't know what I was going to do. And I just wanted to share my experience yesterday with y'all. Peace.